Okay. Let's go live.
Hi guys.
Hello everyone. We're here for the big Q&A panel with the veteran game designers that we have found in the convention. We have George, Illina, Marcin, and Miroslav. And they have, well, actually, I would like to pass the microphone to them to start, so they can give us a brief description of the labs that they have run over the years, so that we have a baseline of their experiences and the very difficult and very challenging problems that they have tackled. So, George?
Hello everybody, my name is George, and I've been LARPing since 2008 or something like this. We have made two big series of games in Bulgaria. First is called the Fall LARP, and I have been dealing mainly with logistics, rules, assuring of accommodation and first aid and rescue on the LARPs. Also, I have been helping my colleague Gat for the Starter LARP series, again with logistics, safety, and other stuff related to the game. So, yeah, basically that's it for me for now.
Hi, I'm Illina, and I don't want to repeat what George just said, just as I'm not in logistics that much, and I'm everything else. Also, my most difficult tasks is to make all the guys that are involved to actually do the same thing.
So like heavy cuts.
Hello, you may know me as Słowik. My birth name is Marcin, but nobody is using it, to be honest. I started LARPing in 2006, and I started creating LARPs in 2006. I'm from Poland, Lublin, Poland. I was one of the creators of LubLARP project that came with first professional workshops for LARP organizers in Poland, and right now I'm working as part of designing crew on Witcher School LARP, and I'm also responsible for the communication with participants and with potential participants of Witcher School.
Hello everyone, my name is Miroslav, Wranka, but please do call me Ciro, everybody else does. I've been LARPing since 2002, and I'm one of the co-founders and partners at the Terrible Creations company. We do LARPs and gamification designs, and we've had a number of projects. Mostly they are chamber LARPs for team building, networking, incentive, and such projects. We also do LARPs for kids. And we have run 2 Portal conferences so far.
So, as this is a Q&A session, an AMA Q&A session, I would first would like to ask a question to all of you, which is actually one of the things that I'm guessing many people would like to know. It's kind of a question about doing this professionally, which all of you are doing, as I know. Oh, okay. Fair enough, sorry.
Well, there is no such profession in the Code of Professions, so it is very hard to tell how professional it is, but let's say it's professional because we feel better that way.
And we are trying our best.
Yes.
I think.
So, one of the things that have been circling around as questions is how do you determine when you have the idea, when you have some of the specifics of the LARP in your mind, and you have to actually move it into practice? How do you determine if it will be viable economically, or if it will incur damages for you. I mean, as in costs basically.
Well, usually for our games we have a kind of a survey among us. So how many people to expect? Then we go into logistics. So do we have a place which is good enough for the certain game? How players can reach there? Is there enough food, water, accommodation? These are the basic stuff. But really, for years we have seen other people trying to run labs in Bulgaria who disregard this stuff at the beginning and then suffer the consequences later because they have a very good idea, probably very good venue or an area for conducting the lab, but if these things are not assured for the players, it becomes a disaster sometimes.
Was your question about profit and loss financially
or both, but yes, if you have an idea and you're about to make it into practice and you have to crash against logistics and reality, how do you determine beforehand if it will be if it will incur losses? Because for most people this is not something that they are able to do. I mean, if losses incurred, sometimes you might not have food for the next day.
Well, first you always envisage 10% contingencies for everything, literally and like metaphorically said. And then you always need to use an Excel table for everything. So you make an Excel table and you put in one column expectable income and the other column expectable expenses. And you try not to forget anything because this is what happens most of the time, and then you plan. And sometimes we plan for labs that do not aim to get profit, which we finance by any means we have at our disposal. So in this case, we just try not to lose too much money.
And also what is important, I think, you need to know what are the essentials. So you need to have this type of costs that are like, you cannot cut them off. And the rest, you will cut at some priority. So if you need to make those cuts, those financial cuts, because, I don't know, you don't have as many players as you thought, or something changes, like some price go up, or you have some, I don't know, you need to pay for a speeding ticket, for example, because your organizer need to speed for the event. So you need to be prepared to know what you can cut off first, like what's only the fancy thing and won't impact the game if it's not there. And you need to know what's the base cost of the LARP, like the essentials only that will make it possible to happen. And I think sometimes as designers especially, we need to work with our producers, with people responsible for the tables and for the budgets and for the props, to know exactly what is essential to the game and what is not our dream to have. For example, I don't know, if you want to have this bathtub filled with fake blood, is it really, really important, and will it make impact for the game as a whole, or is it only a fancy scene for 5 people on the LARP that have 120 players?
Well, apart from everything that has been said so far, the short answer to your question would be we don't. The thing is, what we are trying to do is a new field in Croatia, and I believe most of countries represented here. It's a new product, and it's always a hit and miss. Out of 5 of our Familia Bonifacia games, 1 was really successful. Because it obviously has hit a sweet spot in terms of duration and the number of participants. But there is always a but coming up to this. We have no idea if that was a coincidence or we could do better if we marketed the other formats that we have, or perhaps if we turn to another themes, another duration or something like that. That would require an extensive marketing research, or market research rather, and we don't have the resources for that. So we are just, playing the darts. Okay, we hit it. Okay, we haven't.
And I also don't know any LARP organizer that haven't put their own private money to the LARP ever.
So now we turn to the audience. Oh, okay. I already see hands being raised. So let's go.
Okay. Zula Poland, I've got a question for you as a, long-term organizer. How do you deal with professional burnout? How do you deal with working for a long time with preparing a games, and how do you feel with that? Well, more or less it's that.
Let's change your.
Okay. So I get to answer this one first, right? Okay. Thank you, guys. I won't deny there is a burnout after a while, but we were lucky in several aspects. First, we are a team. There are either 5 or 4 of us, depending on which year we are talking about. So we get to split a lot of responsibilities, and the burden is not that heavy. Also, we are very much in love with what we do, and out of everything that is required to run a game, the running of the game is the most joyful part. When you have people coming in and preparing them for game, and the gameplay itself, it's a joy. It's a source of joy for us. It's kind of recharging event. Let's put it that way. I don't think we have experienced serious burnout so far, but I can imagine it happening. I have no idea how we will deal with this, but I'm confident that we will, find a way to cope with it as a team.
I need to agree in one thing. LARPing is still very young as a field for professionals, so luckily most of us still have some time when the creativity level will be lower, and when maybe this feeling of doing something new, something fresh will burn out. But in my opinion, community is very important. And if you are able to have not clients buying tickets for the LARPs, but creating somehow the community around it, people who want to help you somehow in this adventure you are getting on, with people who are as invested in your team as you are. And I think it's really important with teams that we can have worse days. We can have any doubts, and people who are working on producing the big event are there to lift us up. And on the other day, we are there to lift our friends up, and we are doing this together. And I also think that this thing that we are coming from fandom communities of people who've been doing this for our friends, we still need to overcome some difficulties, because we are friends, of course, we know each other, we like each other, but at some point we still need to count the numbers. And it's really important for people to know that counting the numbers is what keeps us going as LARP organizers. And we can be as creative as we can. We can have crazy ideas for our players, but still we need to make it happen. And if we are not able to make it happen, even the craziest ideas, even our fuel will be gone in some time.
I have a very specific thing that I do as team leader for the Formula organizing team, and this thing is every year, I think almost every year, I get one new person in the core team of organizers. And it can do miracles because you get a fresh perspective, and they are very hyped usually, and they come with a lot of ideas that are very fresh, and they are not burned out in any way. So yeah, this can do miracles, and for that you need the community, because it needs to produce these potential new people that you will take on board.
I won't repeat what the others said because I agree with them. I can add that personally for me, I'm doing all kinds of other stuff apart from LARP. So I try to not be stuck in any one of them for a long period of time. And at some point, at first actually, when I do other stuff, I try to get rest from the LARPing. But after a short time, I'm seeing that I get inspiration from other stuff that I'm doing. Like I'm doing some education on first aid or whatever, and suddenly it's like, oh, I can do this in LARP, etc. So it's very productive if you make other stuff with your mind other than designing LARPs and LARPs. And the other thing is that you have the examples. For example, I have other organizing person who is here in the room. He organizes very nice LARPs, but at some point he really tends to burn out because he's really like making 90% of the work on this game. So I always keep him in my mind, like, don't be like this.
So it's really important to draw inspiration from somewhere.
Yeah, but it's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
it's not a bad thing. But yeah.
If you cannot be a good example, it would be a terrible warning.
You chose certain style of life going into lives. How is your family, friends, partners with it? Are they supporting or just the opposite?
So again, feeling this one, okay. Well, my mom gave up on me when I decided to go. No, wait. This goes way back. My mom decided to give up on me when I decided to go and become a journalist. She thought this was a passing thing, I'll do this for a year or two and then get a serious job. Well, that didn't happen. But seriously, she was always very supportive of both me and my sister, and of course she is supportive of what I'm doing currently, even though I guess she's not able to comprehend fully, since what we are doing is in great deal relying on experience, and it's very hard to explain to someone else what exactly are you doing before they actually try it. I can say that almost all people that are really important to me were really supportive about this, and I was really lucky to have them. It doesn't mean that I didn't encounter the opposite, or at least people who were like, what are you doing and why? This is for kids, and we've heard it all. But at some point, you get your validation one way or another. For example, there was this guy, I used to work for him like 10 years ago, and he couldn't wrap his head around LARP. Why would I go, play in the woods for 3 days? What's the fun? What's the attraction? Why are you doing this? I tried to explain, and he's not that, older than me. Actually, he's younger. I tried to explain, but he was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And guess what? A month ago or so, he contacted me. He changed the company, and he said, "Listen, what were you doing back then? That sounds really interesting. Can we do this now?" So, things change. People change. If someone is pushing against you, that will change probably.
When I was a young boy, my family thought that there were only 3 professions that will make you rich and wealthy in life: lawyer, doctor, and priest. And I haven't become any of them. When I started cultural studies, actually, my family told me maybe it's not the best idea because it will be hard to create income afterwards. But during the studies, I've learned that not only what you are acquiring in the field of knowledge is important, but also making connections. And I've learned LARPing and RPG games during my studying. And I've very quickly understood that I can also write my thesis, master thesis on LARPing. And afterwards I was working at the theater, then I was working with urban festivals in Lublin. And when the opportunity came, I started working on LARPs, but that's not my only way of income. I do a lot of other stuff I've learned outside of the university because I had this fling with something and it became interesting and it came easy to me. So that's why I can tell my family and friends I've been a lawyer, a priest and a doctor in my different LARPs, LARPs. And I know that I would be terrible at all these 3. And right now I know that you don't have to be studying for 5 years and you have to be in one career only. You can grow, you can expand, you can learn whole life, informally, non-formally, and all that stuff. And LARPing brought me to people that showed me broader perspectives. And I've met a lot of people from different places, from different backgrounds, from different opinions, from different countries also. And I think it was very, very uplifting to meet LARPs somewhere on the road. And I'm very grateful I can have part of my income from LARPing.
Okay, my answer probably is not going to surprise you, but it's very short. I don't care, I do what I want. Otherwise, what Ciro and Marcin said applies to me as well.
Okay, so I want to emphasize a bit on what Ciro said about family support. When I started LARPing, not as a player, but to organize games, that's the usual 3 best professions like lawyer, doctor, priest. When you become such, no one is questioning your choice because everyone knows that if you're a lawyer, that's fine. But if you're a LARP organizer, what's that? So at some point, LARP makes you believe in what you do and makes you stand behind your choices and say, okay, I'll be doing LARP games. and it's a very good thing that you can take as an outcome from that, and then try to like develop in this area, because as we already mentioned, it's recently developing, starting, etc. In our region. And to answer the other part of your question, what partners?
Thank you very much.
It's funny because it's true.
It's funny because it's fucking true.
So, hello everyone. I really can go with these topics. I feel like it's not specific with LARP, but it's specific with many kind of, when you start a business, a special business. Yeah, okay. And my question is related to this, but not from the emotional, but the financial part. Do you all do it for living right now? And if yes, how did you make this choice, and how can you run the system financially sustainable?
Can I add? And if I may, just one more similar topic. What other sources of income do you guys have? If you feel, if you're willing to share, of course.
Okay. I wasn't gonna tell you that, but I sell drugs and big arms. And other ways of
I'll give you my card.
Yeah. I work in the field of event management. So basically what LARP has given me is the possibility and the knowledge how to work on that field. And I work with people, I do educational courses. Of course we do team buildings and stuff which are very heavily influenced by the LARPs that we make. I cannot say that I get all of my income from LARPs still, but I'm going to that direction. I think this is a very difficult field to play on, because there is no certainty in this stuff. You all saw what happened with the COVID. So everything which was related with event management in Bulgaria just stopped, like team buildings, like everything. But yeah, I think that if we explore and develop in this area, for example, this project is how can we transition LARP in the field of adult education. So LARP has more than one application in the outside world, let's say. So I think it's quite possible, but we personally haven't reached that level yet.
With my other characters, I go to work every day. So yeah, unfortunately needs to go to work every day, where I'm a researcher, surprise, and I try to utilize it to the biggest extent in order to support what I love to do, which is doing labs. But I'm a little bit more pessimistic than George, and I don't believe that anytime soon, living in Bulgaria, it will be possible to make your income entirely from LARP, except you extend your definition of LARP so much that almost any time, any kind of event is LARP-ish. So yeah.
So we go just with the arms.
I don't know any person in Poland who is sustainable out of LARPing, like who get their income only from LARPing. As a person who is basically art critic, I have been working as chief of marketing department in a cultural institution, and I'm not working. I'm not having a normal job since 2017. I'm a freelancer in the field of graphic design, text creating, copywriting, text editing, text proofreading, typesetting books, a lot of things. Also communication, social media, public relations and all that stuff, because I had to do that at some point of my other hobbyistic or professional things. And also because of the pandemic, I also started to search other things and expanding LARP designing into game designing. So basically not only for the events, but I'm trying to design other kind of games mechanics that are not used in LARPing.
So I will just repeat the same sad story that we just heard. I mean, if it doesn't work for Poland, that's a really, really big country comparing to the rest of us. It's hard to imagine that a small country like Croatia can support, you know, LARPing as a business. So no, we are not sustainable yet. There are indications though that it could be sustainable, but as George said, you know, we need at least somewhat normal climate to work in or to operate in, and until that happens, it's really difficult to tell whether these indications will turn into a trend and then into a stable income. As for myself, I'm a freelance journalist with focus on ICT. Also have other, you know, interests and venues that I go to when money is required. So I do copyright, I do technical writing, I do pretty much anything you can pay me for.
Give me your card.
Just
I
a
have an idea.
quick addition, maybe it's not so bad because after the LARP is getting normalized more and more, and maybe it will change soon, I don't know. The client base will be more adequate.
You asked for it, no? Close.
Yeah, I'll take one more.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for your openness. I appreciate that, and yeah, we're kind of in similar shoes though, so this is why I appreciate all of this. So, continuing in the same vein, looking into pockets, especially when it comes to bigger events, like high production value events, high budget events, where you have a large team to work with, a large team of volunteers. How do you decide on who is, and possibly volunteers, freelancers? Yeah, how do you decide who gets paid? So who's the, what is their method for this? What's the, yeah, so I'm asking for especially those of you guys who organize, well, all of you organize big events, so with bigger teams. Yeah, I think that's the general gist of the question.
Well, usually we face the problem that we want to pay like everyone that has contributed to the game at some point. And I'm not speaking only for the folk LARP, but for the Stalker LARP as well, because God has like many people who contribute with art and with all other stuff, like technicals and stuff like this. But the thing is that it's all about the sheets, and when you and when you do the aftermath, if you have like money to spend, you just give to some people who have really donated to your event, because usually there are lots of people who do something and they do not expect anything in return. Of course, we try to, for example, some of the volunteers that work on folk, they either don't pay or pay half taxes, or we can, for example, provide them food or some logistics or something that we can provide to them, because it's literally impossible for now to just pay everyone that has contributed to the game.
Continuing the same trail, I'm currently working on a regulation because I really feel bad about it. That's why I said it's a good question. I really feel bad about it. And I'm designing right now a regulation that would say which kind of work is get paid what for a specific number of hours. And as long as we can afford it, if we can't afford it fully, like the market prices for labor in Bulgaria, we would reduce, but for everybody, including ourselves. So I think that is needed because we have encountered this problem that we have been unfair to some people, like paying once and not paying the others. For some reason that was not intentional, so we try to fix that right now.
In the field of LARPs, I think we wouldn't be where we are right now if not the volunteering of our friends. And it's still needed. We are not at this moment when we can pay like professionals and we can have this market numbers for our friends contributing. But in Poland, I think most, if not all, cultural events, and I'm not talking about big corporations organizing events, but like centers of culture or something like that, they run on volunteers. And that is really important to learn, that you can acquire some skills, you can learn a lot while being a volunteer. And I also think that I come from a background where we had a person in our center, cultural center, where I was working on the big festivals, that was only there for training, preparing, and managing volunteers. And we were able to make festivals for hundreds, thousands of people because of volunteers. And this is really important because if you are approaching this professionally made events and you are volunteering in a team with professionals, you can learn a lot. You can acquire a lot of skills, a lot of soft skills, a lot of crisis management. And I also think that it's really important to know that some of the people who are there and they don't want to get paid for their work, they also can learn something, they also can get something except of being paid. Still, in Witcher School it's like that we ask people if we are making the sign-ups, because we do it 2 times a year for NPCs and for the crew. We ask about people's skills, what they are good at, and we also ask if they want to get paid or do they want to volunteer. If they want to volunteer, they will get some gadgets, some things to show that they were part of the community. But we also hope, as our friends from Bulgaria, that we will be able to pay everybody who is taking part in the event. But unfortunately, because of the pandemics, it won't happen as fast as we could have thought so 2 years ago.
So as a rule, we, meaning the core members of the team, are being paid last. And more often than not, or maybe like it's 95% of the cases, we reinvest this into future business. Other than that, we always try to pay either people who come to work for us or the work we commission from other people. And we were mostly successful about it. Oh, okay.
It's alright.
Oh, that wasn't a cell phone?
No, it's
Okay.
Keep going.
We were successful in doing so. It's way easier when you have a big project in terms of, let's say, a couple of €1,000. Then you can just, put it in the budget and nobody really cares. It's a little bit more tricky when you have something that's of a lesser kind. But again, as a rule, we are trying to pay people who are working for us.
I can add one more thing because we were talking financials. And other thing is that very fragile balance because speaking on the point of view of event management, we can have it all professionally. For example, we can hire people who can build the in-game city, do the logistics, everything. But then we will have the disbalance because our ticket will have to cost like 3,000 or 300 euro for the game, which is impossible for now. So that's why we try to stick with the volunteers and ask the community for helping. And of course, we can hire professional designers to make some art and etc. But yeah.
Also, one of us is a designer, so we can exploit them for free.
Yeah. Yeah. That is
Yeah, you learn a lot of new skills while LARPing because you need to. And I would also like to add that if you are a company making LARPs, you need to also pay taxes. So you are getting a lot of money, but a lot of those money is not being used on anything else than paid to the government.
Like 23% in Poland.
25 in Croatia.
It's 27.5 in Hungary.
There you go.
So I think we should switch gears from the financial, and I want to ask the following: do you play? Are your players the same people year after year or event after event, or is it a new bunch of people every time? And if it's the same people every time, what do you do on community management?
Speaking for the Foglar, we have a core player base, but each year new people come, which is a good thing, and we try to expand the community that plays our games. That's why we make them like internationally friendly. And for the other big game, the Stalker War, again there is a core base of players that play, and each year more and more people from the Airsoft community, from the LARP community just join and come to explore. So each big game, of course, is trying to expand because we cannot like work for 10 years with the same player base.
Community management is a very hard thing to do, and mostly it costs a lot of time and a lot of emotion, and it costs a lot of talking. So since it is a Q&A session, I would like to give an advice to everyone who is willing to listen. Just talk to your players as much as you can.
I feel like I could talk for 2 days on this topic, but I won't. The design of Witcher School makes it easier to create community because we have storylines with the episodes, so people are invited to come back with their characters. We still have a lot of international players and also Polish players because we do it. One is in Polish and international are run in English, that are coming back for another storylines to play another characters in the same setting. So we have great community and very strong and very vocal community, and that also has good sides and bad sides because we need to be trustworthy for the community to get a lot of help, a lot of empowerment, but we also need to be clear with them and we need to be open with them. And that's the thing that I think makes the community building, this is a principle with that. So you need to be trustworthy, you need to be open, and I think we somehow need to like each other, like not only on professional level, but also we need to like our players and our players need to like us because they can have the great experience, but if they don't have great experience with organizers, I don't know, on backstage, if they are doing accreditation and if they are, I don't know, emailing us, if they don't have the same positive experience, they probably won't come back.
Oh, well, working with companies and organizations is a bit more impersonal than working with players from the community. So I can't say that we have a community per se. We do have returning players for our regular games, but these happen maybe once or twice per year, and their number is not very great. So we don't make much effort to keep this community going. Frankly, I think we would bore people to death if we were trying to do so. Because I have a feeling that they see the announcement for the next game, they know what it's all about, and they either sign up or they do not. That's basically it.
Okay, time for hard question. The thing that you are most proud of during your LARP travel journey. The thing that you are most proud of.
Well, personally for me, I still have the counts for the players who come to LARP equal the counts of the player who go out of the LARP alive. So.
If you're ready?
No, go.
Okay. So the thing that I am most proud of, I already mentioned it, I am most proud of having been able to create the community that allowed me to sit today at this table, right to the guy who makes Witcher, oh my god, you know, and this is due to the fact that we have built with George this strong community.
This is a very hard question because Witcher School is just a part of my LARPing experience. I think I'm proud of connections I've built with LARPers in LARP community. I'm people's person. I get a lot of energy with meeting with people. A lot of energy from talking to people. A lot of inspiration when I meet them. And I think those meaningful connections for 15 years, some of them being only one meeting, maybe on the other side of the Europe, and maybe I won't meet those people ever again, but still they've changed something. And with some I became close friends, and I can't imagine my life without them in it. So I would say that, like the opportunity to meet very, very interesting people, because when you are prone to imagining, role-playing, letting yourself go, diving into immersion, into other worlds, I think you are a person who have something to give to other people. And I'm there to, and ready to take it with me on my journey.
When you often work with people you don't know and who are unexperienced players, it is every time it is a great unknown how it will turn out. You know, will they stop playing? Will they enjoy the experience? Will they think it was their money's worth, or you name it? So there's a moment in the game, and we call it the buzz. And it comes sooner or later, depending on the game. But at this point, all you can hear in game is people talking about something that's game related. And that moment, we know that the game is successful. And this is the moment for me, and I believe for the rest of our crew, that we like the most about the game. I mean, there will be great moments of the game, you know, epic events and whatnot. But this, when you hear the buzz going on, and you know that it will go at least somewhat smoothly. So that's it. We have a saying in Bulgaria that after LARP, when your Facebook wall becomes flooded with posts related to post-LARP depression into there, so the LARP was good. And people are like, I don't want to be in the office, I want to be in the woods, etc. And the other thing, as Slavik said, is the people that you meet, because as we've spoken before about this lawyer, doctor, priest, if we become one of these professions, you'll probably hang out with more like only lawyers or only doctors or whatever.
And a lot of sick people.
Yeah, and a lot of sick people. And but when you start dealing with LARP, and not talking only when you go to conferences like this, you meet so big variety of people with different professions, different lifestyles, different ideas, that it's kind of more difficult to go back to the regular people's life when they hang out with like 20 people at some point from their life, and that's it. Because with the LARPs we can communicate with so many people, and we actually communicate with so many people.
Okay, I have a little bit side question on that. It's not on that topic. It's more related to the professional side of LARPing. When you have a project to make and you really have to make it, how do you deal with inspiration black holes? I mean, when you're just stuck out of ideas, nothing is going on, it's so, you know, a void, and you're like not motivated, but you have to do the thing that you have to do. Maybe you have a deadline or something like that. How do you deal with that?
Well, personally, I started doing something completely non-related to the project, like going in the mountains or doing something that is completely not related to it, and at some point it just clicks and turns up, because when I try to focus and nothing is coming, it doesn't matter if I'll be focused like for half an hour or for 10.5 hours, it just doesn't work.
When this happens, I usually try to call or arrange a meeting with a LARPer who is a friend of mine. In many cases it is you. In some cases it is someone else, and the brainstorming just takes me back on track. So.
Brainstorming +1.
Brainstorming +2 and the research. I start digging the subject, and I dig and I dig and I dig until I find something that's, whoa, that might be useful. And it usually happens. I mean, the internet is a big place.
And also, I think everybody has their own idea how to get themselves out of this black hole. Some of them are, I don't know, into movement, into sports, into getting tired. Some of them are into, I don't know, reading a book, watching a movie, maybe listening to some music. Some of us are, I don't know, going out with our dog or cat, playing with our friends. So I think you should stick to what keeps you going. There is no, universal rule for that.
Yeah, there is no recipe for
that. Hi, I have a question, but I wanted to say to people who are watching us that we are silently clapping. We are really appreciative of the speakers. I have a question. To turn this around, the question that Zula asked, what you have learned from your biggest fuck-up concerning LARPs?
Well, what have I learned from our biggest fuck-ups is you can't really do it alone, and the other thing I'd say is trust the people.
because we have invested a lot of time and efforts to build this community, and sometimes even when we fucked up, we just trusted the community, and we received their attention and their support at moments where we were supposed to like gather and fix some stuff, and it's a very good feeling, because some people start suddenly coming to you and say, hey, I will do this, I will do this, I will do this, and you suddenly realize that all the time invested in this community just replays in like 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
I have learned that sometimes I'm wrong. But yeah, what George said, we're trying to involve as many people as possible, because this is a very good safeguard against things to fuck up, and it's working very well for us. So yeah, this is it. And also, it is very important to delegate. You cannot do everything alone. But you need a certain amount of trust in the people you delegate to.
Don't assume. Ask questions. Listen carefully, and rephrase. This is what I've learned. Like, most of the fuck-ups means that you made a mistake somewhere among these four.
Miscommunication, like 80% of it.
Prepare well, prepare on time. And also, if you can get them to pay in advance at least a little bit of what they're about to pay, do it.
I have a question to you. How do you do that prepare on time thing?
Still another full workshop on that.
Yeah, there's a crop of issue.
Since we're on the topic of how to deal with fuck-ups and failures and how to move forward, most people that are doing something this involved and for that many years have had their moments of doubt, their moments that they almost quit. It's a bit personal, but I think it is very valuable to see, to hear from you if such a moment existed.
Yes, it existed, like a few years ago. I was maybe a bit too tired and overwhelmed by stuff because I was feeling that I'm investing more than I get from the game, and since it's not like the priority thing in my life, so it's not like I'm doing it professionally, getting all the income from this. I was having serious doubts of whether I should continue doing all this, but again, the community was the thing that helped, and there were certain people who showed like this amount of appreciation at the right time. So yeah, and there were other people who taught me some stuff that I completely didn't expect to happen, and so this was like kind of moved me and said, that's why you're here, because you can not only receive the appreciation of what you did, but you can only teach new stuff at the right moment that you completely don't expect. So that was for me.
There was such a moment, I think maybe 7-ish years ago, and while George was talking, I was very hard trying to remember what happened. And I couldn't, so I assume it was some kind of community drama that I don't remember anymore. So yes, and back to the question of learning, I learned to ignore drama as much as I can, because it is not always possible.
I don't have a fancy story. I think there could be several moments when I switched somewhere else from LARPing, but there were no drama involved. I think it's very important to do a reality check with yourself, because we sometimes stuck, and nobody likes to get stuck anywhere, professionally, I don't know, mentally, emotionally, in their private lives. So you always need to validate if what you are doing right now is what you need right now, what gives you satisfaction, what gives you pleasure, what gives you money, what gives you anything you want to get from that, what you are doing. And in some moments of my life, there were moments when I switched somehow. I've done projects with different people. I've done different projects. I've designed different LARPs. I was putting more, I don't know, I was looking at LARPs as a leisure or as an educational field or as something that should steer emotions or something that should, I don't know, teach people how to live or anything like that. And I had some stages at my LARPing career, let's say, as a player, as an organizer, as designer. And I think most of the time when the moment of crashing was coming, I was changing the way a bit. Oh, let's say, let's turn right or left right now and see what happens there. And I think that's really important in whatever you do, to feel those moments that, okay, I feel somehow uncomfortable. Why? Maybe I have a pebble in my shoe. Let's get rid of the pebble. Let's define what the pebble is, because I would like to go on and on. So in my LARP life, there was those moments when I've switched teams, I've switched projects, I created different experiences with LARPs. At some point I've started teaching LARPs at university, and in one moment I was just enjoying the LARPs of people who I've brought to the community that understood LARPs like I was, and they could design phenomenal, exceptional LARPs for me to be a player in.
As a player, I've had my moments of doubts, because Croatian scene, as Illina would put it, had its moments of drama, and some of these moments were really deep, dark holes. You would like to go into, a cesspit, if you want. But I have always managed to bounce back somehow, because this thing we do is really interesting, and you can always find different people to do it with. As a designer or LARP write, I find it hard to imagine that it will become boring one day, or that I will get fed up with it, because it's such a large field. You can do just ordinary LARPs for LARPers, you can do edu LARPs, you can do big production events, you can do any number of things, and each of them excites me greatly, so yeah, I can't really see that happening anytime soon.
Another question. Okay.
LARP is fun, but I also think that LARP is useful and I am very curious about your opinion. What is this for? How is it useful, if it is?
Oh well, I'll start again. Obviously, it can be used in education in numerous ways, from simulations onwards, and it has been used in the last decade or so, rather successfully. Other than that, I think it can grow in terms of tourism, and in terms of services to companies, not only as a team building but as higher value services, in developing skills, in teaching skills and whatnot.
I think LARP is a powerful medium because it affects altogether those parts of our brain that are prone to remembering things, to understanding things and analyzing things. So they acquire somehow of practical skills, even if there are no skill sets, like exactly while walking, running, I don't know, getting physically challenged, your brain thinks a little bit differently than when you are sitting and focusing only on when somebody is talking to you. It brings emotions, and emotions are very powerful, and we know that if something connects in your mind with emotions, especially positive emotions, it will stay there for a longer time, because you will have this moment of remembering something pleasant for you, satisfaction you had with it, and it will connect exactly with this place, moment, scene, person, image, sound, because you are also using all of the senses during LARPs. And this is your personal thing. Nobody is telling you anything. You live it out. And even if the story is not true, the experience is real for your brain. So you can learn out of your mistakes. If you make a fuck up, if your character is making a fuck up during the game and they face consequences, you are experiencing it. Sometimes maybe you will bleed it out, but still, this is something you've lived. So that's why I think it's very powerful, not only for leisure, but also for growing, let's say. And I've played over 200 LARPs now in my life, and most of them gave me something. Maybe I've learned something from the character I was playing, or from meaningful scene or relation, or from meaningful encounter during the game. And I value the most those LARPs that stick in my head, in my heart, or in my guts for bringing that to my life. If I'm thinking about what could have been if something else happened, if I reacted differently to a situation, to a person, what could have happened if my character was a different person. Those are the questions I'm growing from, and nobody can take it away from me. That's why I think LARPs are great in growing your character, in growing you as a person.
I am just rephrasing that, with your permission, a little bit. Thank you very much. But simulations are useful and good for training, and LARP is simulation of real life.
I'd say, from the perspective of that, we have been running a game for like 10 years now, and I have seen how the players change during the game, how LARP has changed them. When I teach survival courses, I ask the people, do you know what is the most valuable capability for us to survive? Anyone? Adaptability. Yes, adaptability. And so the LARP provides us maybe with this unique opportunity, because when we are in our real lives and we have to experience something difficult, no one wants to experience in real life something very difficult for him in order to just learn something. And in LARP environment we can do it in a safe space, because come on, we are like playing with our friends there. And the other thing is that we can do it even backwards, because when you change different roles, you learn to adapt to different characters. How they react, you either receive the character sheet or no, doesn't matter, but you learn to adapt to different characters, and you can use that in real life to adapt to different situations. And I think that is one of the most valuable stuff that LARP is giving. You can relate it to like anything, like physical skills, emotional, soft skills, whatever, but this is the basis, adaptability.
And also it can be a great storytelling media.
Go on if you want. What's your next LARP related project that you're most excited about? LARP or LARP related?
Well, we are on a hiatus right now. We were supposed to have two rather large projects, at least for us, during September, but the client decided to postpone this due to the plague. Other than that, we are developing a game that is not really LARP, but still we hope it will be fun for our client in Croatia. That will involve a hacker battle, and that's now our next upcoming project, and this is what we are excited about. And also what we are doing here with Erasmus Plus, that is really an exciting thing to participate in.
Portal 10 September 2022 in Krakow, Poland. Everybody is invited. You are invited to come.
I'm not gonna say that. I'm not excited about Portal. You have to work harder.
I will. Yes, among many others.
Okay, what I'm really excited now is actually my next project, which is there is a big survival game that is running every year in Bulgaria. It is not actually exactly a LARP, it is a simulation. It's called Razor Wire, and it is about teaching survival skills and also about some airsofters getting to shoot at people. And I'm making an experiment this year. I'm going there with a group of LARPers, which is very well communicated to everyone, and I am trying to do a chambery LARP on the background of the war that is going on, with some heavy stuff going on. And I have no clue what I'm doing.
Nice.
But I'm really curious how it will turn out, because there is a great chance that it is going to be a complete disaster. So.
Well, I'll have to participate in that game.
I'm so
but
excited.
but I will go with my emergency rescue team, because we're doing our annual training for search and rescue activities, and we are using like LARPers and airsofters who go all kinds of funny places where they can stuck and go down, etc. And we are trying to rescue them. But apart from that, we are developing online platform for LARPs that can be run through a system and can last up to 2 weeks. And so we have had several meetings with development team, and I'm really excited to see what will they come up with, because it's a new idea that me and Hela had, and we're trying to make it work. Because again, there will be like a lockdown in Bulgaria, so we'll be trying to use it as for running games, and so yeah, we are just waiting for it.
If there's no one else, I have one more. Yeah. So imagine the Great Plague is over.
Ish.
Imagine. Okay, so it's so what's next for LARP? So how do you see the short term? What's your vision for LARP for after the plague?
Well, after the plague, we will surely try to expand the two big games in Bulgaria, the Stalker LARP and the Folk, to be more international. Probably we will have to invest a lot of time in this to make them to adapt them to be more international friendly. And I really hope to see not some, maybe all of you on one of the two games. And yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say that I expect 500 people in the fog. But the funny thing was, it's not funny, it's sad actually, with my other colleague who is not here, we have designed a full marketing strategy to get international players, and it was end of 2019.
Yeah, great timing.
I'm so sorry to hear that. My little dream when I started working with Panagiotopoulos and Witcher School team was to redesign some parts of the game to be able to be run like maybe up to 12 events per year, like 6 in spring and 6 in autumn. We need some infrastructure for that, and we also need some kind of preparations because our team is quite small and we are not capable of doing it ourselves. So we are preparing some kind of boring stuff to make it happen. I would also like, and I think everybody in Panagiotopoulos is sharing this dream, to have introduce another big game, cinematic game, into our portfolio. A lot of our friends in Panagiotopoulos are great fans of battle LARPs, so probably that might be a battle LARP, but let's leave that open for interpretation, because I really feel when you have this logistics and infrastructure and working warehouse with a lot of stuff prepared for the games, it's very sad that it is locked in the places and nothing else. We are very lucky to have 3 international events during pandemics last autumn, and hopefully we had no COVID case during any of them. We are keeping our fingers crossed and our asses clutched to run at least 3 more games this autumn, international games this autumn. Right now, when we are speaking, one of the Witcher School episode is taking place. I can't be there because I'm here with you lovely people. And to be honest, what I would dream for all the LARPers around the world is to have more places and occasions to meet. Not only to LARP together, but also to speak, to exchange ideas, to learn from each other, and to create some cooperatives, because I feel like we have a lot of things that combined together can create some new games, new projects, and new things. We can like rule the world together as LARPers. Yeah, so that would be my dream after the pandemics. And I hope we will also learn one thing, that if you are sick if you have a flu, if you have anything in your organism, you be mindful not to bring it to the game, especially to international game, especially to big game. And COVID, I think, taught us that it can spread like hellfire. And stomach flu is something you don't want to have when you have around 200 people in one place for several days.
Well, when you operate as a company, you sort of have a tunnel vision, you know. So our immediate goal would be to get new clients and to run games for them and then get paid for it, you know, so we can run more games and etc. etc. But what I would like us to do is to turn LARP into a sort of a escape room experience in terms of how well known it is and how people are willing to participate in. And if we manage to do, you know, only the half of the things that escape rooms do in Croatia, I will be a very happy man. Apart from that, I would like that we get a chance to run at least another run of our castle game, because that was fun, and you know, costumes are sad, sitting sad, locked away. That will be a shame. But also, I would like us to do many more other crazy things. You know, there is this really beautiful fortress near town of Šibenik in Croatia that I would really like to use for a game.
Klis Fortress?
Say what?
Klis Fortress?
No. This is Saint Nicholas.
Saint Nicholas. Okay.
Yeah. There is an idea to do a LARP on ships, not one but more of them, and you know, who knows what will come into our heads. So my wish would be that all our crazy ideas, not just us but all of us here, come to life.
I wanted to ask you to imagine that there suddenly, nomen omen, a portal appears over there, and you can summon people from the LARP community, but from different countries which are not with us today. Whom would you summon today?
Well, I will go with a possibly unpopular option. I would summon Klaus Rastedt. And I would really like to have a good, long, honest conversation with him.
Who? Klaus Rastedt?
Klaus Rastedt, the guy who ran a college of wizardry because before it ran into the ground. I think we can learn from this man a lot.
I had the opportunity to meet two great teams of designers and LARP organizers. One of them was responsible for Just a Little Loving in Finland in 2018. And they are also part of the team responsible for Odysseus, the LARP legend that I hope there will be more reruns of that LARP, please. And a lot of people agree and clap silently for that. And I would also invite Spanish team with Espe Montero and her friends. I had the opportunity to play their LARP in Spain, of course, and I think they have a lot of interesting things to tell us, to teach us on safety, and how to make players comfortable with very, very, very uncomfortable topics.
I would like to someone representative of the team of the biggest games such as Dragonfest and Conquest of Mythodea, because I would like really very much to learn about managing huge groups of mindless zombies, which are the players. Those kind of events.
Well, I'd say today as well, because I have contact with some of them, and they were very helpful. And like when someone from Bulgaria just wrote to them, they just responded, and I wasn't sure that this will happen. And since you told us to imagine to just, here is the portal, I'd say just bring them all.
Well, thank you especially for this answer, because just a little suggestion, this is an open question, so later you can add to the list and we will try our best, because really we can go on. The portal, next portal is the 10th, so it's the anniversary, and we can actually invite those guys. Wouldn't you like that?
Also, I guess Poland is good for them, I mean, location-wise. So, yeah.
Poland, it's easy to access logistically, yes.
Not for us,
But it's kind of in the middle.
But they're going through the portal, so why are you talking about logistics?
You have to put portal somewhere.
We'll start with imagination and just later look at the
Actually,
cost.
Kraków is known to be a portal for magical. Yeah, didn't you hear me?
I used that a few times. It works.
Why did we flew
Imagine, imagine if you will, that this is going to become a theme. Imagine if you will, that all resource barriers that are keeping you from realizing your greatest ideas in LARP are gone. You have the best players, you have all the money in the world, you have all the locations on the planet and beyond, if that's your thing. What would the game that you would design and run look like?
Oh, it's a very easy question, thank you. We will just overcome Earth and make taxes like 5% or something like that.
That's one.
Okay, I'll answer more seriously. Fortresses. I want all of them.
And castles.
Well, I don't have this much of imagination, maybe, I don't know.
Okay, imagine the headline. Słowik doesn't have imagination.
I would organize a game that would be co-created by people from different countries, run at the same moment in different countries, and it would last at least few days, and we would use every possible mean of communication in that game. So I can imagine we are communicating via internet, but also we are flying between countries.
Pigeons. Pigeons.
Hmm?
Flying pigeons.
We are flying pigeons between countries.
Why not? You've got this money.
And I think we are saving the world, because I think it would be a very nice and wholesome idea for LARPers to save the world, and that could also be caught in the attention of mainstream media, maybe some politics, and maybe some governments. So we would take over the world. That would be the next run of the game. Yeah, but I think if the resources are you don't have any limitations, that would be something very nice, because I could believe playing on the plane, like going from Poland to, I don't know, United States with a mission and maybe doing something other crazy stuff?
Well, I would like it, for LARP to become an everyday experience. You know, you can just go and play anywhere, anytime. It's used in the education, it's used in companies, it's used anywhere. So that I would use these limitless resources for that.
Counterspell.
and also to play it on the International Space Station.
I don't counterspell that.
LARP flicks in every home. Let's imagine.
No.
Let's not imagine.
So this question goes mostly to the folk organizers because I know them, I play the games, and I believe you are now in a state in the game and the thing you want to do with the game that you're expanding, right? So, and you want to go international, I heard it, and then the question came. So, in order to achieve that, to attract players from Germany, for example, from Scandinavia, players who have who are used to kind of different LARPing theme. For example, Dragonfest is a huge is a huge LARP, but it's pretty railroaded. In contrast with LARP, which has a general frame, and then you create game in there. So my question is, are you gonna keep the character of the folk LARP and try to attract them with a difference in the framework, or are you trying to cater? And also for the other speakers here, what would you do in the same situation? Thank you.
We should never try to do something that other people bigger than us are doing already better than us. It would be stupid. So yes, we need to cater something, maybe in terms of mainly logistics, accommodation, stuff like that, because they're used to that, or to communicate correctly and very well that it is non-existent, for example. Yes, but we intend to fully keep the character of the game as it is, because this is our strong part, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're basically not creating another Coca-Cola because we cannot create another Coca-Cola. Yeah, there is a, I don't know, there is a big diversion between the Western LARPs and Eastern LARPs, and we're more on the side of the Eastern LARPs, where players want to be like in the field. They want to be the creators of the world, and they they hate it in their guts when they're like heavily railroaded. So me and Illina, we also don't like this as players and as GMs, so we won't be doing that. And so yes, we want to expand, but we will just attract the people that like this kind of experiences.
The keyword is agency. I haven't been to Drakenfest because it is 1 week before the Fog and I can't. I very much wanted to see what they do, but it's not possible till now. It has not been possible. But from what I know from my colleagues, players in this kind of labs don't have agency, or have very little agency, and this is something that distinguishes us, and we would like to keep that.
As other jobs teach us, you like your job when you think it's meaningful, and when you understand it, and when you agree with it. And if you do LARPs, it's especially important to do what you feel. And if somebody else is doing something else, that doesn't mean you should take from them because people like it. I think you should make people like it, whatever you are doing. So I would also think what's important in my design, in the folk design, and how can I grow on that? Because I feel that good LARP designs have the space to be widened or broadened, or to be this trampoline when you can bounce higher. and you don't need other ideas, other creators' ideas to take them and put in your game if they doesn't fit.
I'm really not sure that I understood your question, so I'll try to give an answer, and you correct me if I'm wrong. But I see LARP as a part of entertainment industry in a way, and as a part of creative industry in another way. In either case, you have certain limitations, design-wise and scale-wise, to overcome. So, certain amount of catering, as you put it, is not only necessary, but I believe unavoidable. For no other reason than it's because you cannot handle 10 people the same way you handle 100 people or 1,000 people. So if we agree on this, then the logical consequence of that is that the rest is the balancing act. You know, how much compromise you are willing to take. And I don't see it necessarily as a bad thing, you know, and also I think it depends greatly on the background the designer is coming from. People who are doing both Mitodea and the other LARP, the other big German LARP, came from a certain background that formed them to, you know, do what are they doing today. I think that they do a pretty good job, you know. Illina and George will do something else. Słowik will do something else. We will do something else. I don't think it's something that needs to be, you know, either judged or, you know, yeah. It's just, you know, you do your best at a certain point and hope it will work with the audience.
We have different needs and we need diversity in LARPs. Some people like something else, some people like something else, some people like short, action-filled things for 2-3 hours. Some people like 3 to 4 days in the woods. Somebody needs to be taken by their hand and like secured throughout the game, and somebody wants to be as creative as they can be and to try the boundaries of the design. So we have a lot of LARPs, and it would be sad if all of them would look like the same. So this diversity that we are trying to come up with different ideas, with different designs, and to find some new ways to entertain ourselves and our players, I think it's very important.
And we should enjoy it until Mickey Mouse comes and takes it all.
Yeah. And I would like to thank you for this question because it gave me the opportunity to hear the answer of this too. Yeah.
Can we say the European Union motto now? United in diversity?
Somebody play the anthem. When we will take over the world, everything will be fixed.
We have to rewrite that.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes till the end, so I've got another question.
Is it hard or?
No, this one.
Oh, okay, it's medium.
It will be uneasy, but it's not hurtful.
Can we end
okay.
with something wholesome? Can somebody have a wholesome question for
It is.
Oh.
It is.
Or at least some ice cream.
What is your favorite
I
llama?
think so. It's not about llamas. If you could get an advice to your younger self who just started making LARPs, give us this advice.
Amazing and wholesome.
Well, I'll just say, keep up. This is your thing, and if you believe in it, just keep with it. That's it.
Don't take things personally.
+1.
Break things faster and learn to cope with it.
Thank you very much for the insights.
Can we go now?
Yes, yes, I'm guessing what you're going to tell me. Yes, you can go now. Dismissed.
Class dismissed.
The detention's ended.
We have picked your brains, you know, nothing is left in your skull.